It's not just about releasing other people from their red flags and understanding that you're willing to work with them and their red flags. It's also understanding that you're not perfect and you're still worthy of love, even in your imperfection. So I've come to a conclusion. You're a red flag. I'm a red flag. We're all red flags. So what do we do about it? Hey y'all, my name is Dasha. I'm also known as the Hair Doula, and I'm out in nature today, and you're gonna be hearing all the nature sounds. I'm sorry in advance. Today what I want to talk about is red flags. I feel like we have an obsession with red flags and avoiding people with red flags, when the reality is everybody has red flags. I've just realized everybody has red flags. It doesn't matter how much healing you do, it doesn't matter how much growing you do, it doesn't matter how much wisdom you get, there's gonna be something. I mean, there's something wrong with you. That's just the facts. There's something wrong with you. Sorry. Get over it. Embrace it. Be okay with it. There's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with everybody. Okay? So I felt like this video was really important to make because I feel like we have an obsession with perfection, and perfection does not exist. And so we're going out into the dating world and we're looking for someone who's perfect, who has no red flags, who does all the right things, who's not working on anything or doesn't have anything to work on, our knight in shining armor, our perfect princess, like on the pedestal, whatever. And the reality is that it doesn't exist. And so I feel like we're going out, we're looking for something that doesn't exist, and it's making us very unhappy, because then you feel defeated. You feel like you're never going to find your person. You feel like your person doesn't exist because there's something like fucked up about everybody. Excuse my French. And the reality is that there is something messed up about everybody. Nobody is perfect. Uh-oh, a car's coming. So the reality is that everybody has something wrong with them. You have things that are wrong with you, or not as favorable about you, right? Something that somebody would not like, something that a lot of people would not like, something that you probably don't even like about yourself, right? There's things about me I know I don't like, but I'm learning to love them. I'm learning to love them. Yeah. So it's unrealistic to expect that there's going to be somebody out there with no red flags. So since everybody has red flags, what do we do? What then do we do about the fact that everyone has red flags? How do we find our person? What do we use to gauge if it's someone that's worth dealing with, worth dating, worth taking a risk on, things like that, right? What do we do about the fact that everybody has red flags? And so this idea of just avoiding red flags is not even real. First, learn to identify red flags. What? What do you mean? Why? And like, everyone has red flags and you're saying that they don't matter. I'm not saying they don't matter. I'm just saying everybody has them. So it is still important to learn to identify red flags, because if you can identify the red flags, then you can identify if it's a red flag that you can deal with, which we will get into a little bit more later. So it's still important to be aware first of your own red flags, because you want to be aware of things that you can work on. You want to be aware of the kind of partner that you're going to need, who can deal with those red flags, who can complement those red flags. So you want to be able to identify them in yourself, but you also want to be able to identify red flags in other people, because there are going to be red flags that you are willing to deal with and red flags that you're not willing to deal with. And you're going to need to be able to see and identify those red flags to even be able to then make the next step and go to the next step and make the decision about, okay, is this something that I can deal with, or is this a deal breaker, right? Red flag does not equal deal breaker. That's what I'm saying to you guys today. Red flag does not equal deal breaker. So you have to identify the red flag, so then you can determine if the red flag is a deal breaker for you. Just because it is a deal breaker for you doesn't mean that it's a deal breaker for somebody else. And just because it's not a deal breaker for you doesn't mean that it wouldn't be a deal breaker for someone else, right? So an example of this, I do not smoke cigarettes or I don't smoke anything. So for me, a red flag, it is a red flag to me, and a deal breaker is somebody who smokes cigarettes or vapes or anything like that. For somebody else, honestly, for somebody else, it might not be a red flag or a deal breaker. But everybody is different. You know, everybody is different. So once you've learned to identify the red flags, the next step, which we've kind of already hinted at, is figuring out whether or not it is a deal breaker. Is it something that you can deal with? And you have to be realistic about this. Is this something that that person is willing to work on? And is it something that you're willing to be patient for potentially years while they work on it? Or is it something that you're going to be fine if they never change it, if they are always that way? Is it something that you can realistically deal with for a long period of time? A long periodically time.
We have to sit out here and wait a long periodically time.
Because if you can deal with it for a long periodically time, or you realize that it's only a red flag to you because of insecurities, and as you grow that's not going to bother you anymore, you know, something like that. Okay, well, is that something that you can deal with? Is that something that is your issue, or is it their issue? There's a whole lot of other things that need to be taken into consideration when thinking about these like flags and compatibilities. So you want to just figure out if it's a deal breaker for you or not. My point is that there are things that could be alarming in somebody that they could work on. For example, in me, I'll talk about myself because I could put myself on blast, whatever. One of my red flags is that it's easier for me to see red flags and negative things than it is sometimes for me to see and acknowledge the positive things. But because of the things that I've experienced in my childhood, I see warning signs in like everything. I see warning signs in everything, and then I start to freak out a little bit. And I might seem like cool, calm, and collected on the outside, but on the inside I'm screaming, and I'm like, I don't know, you might be trying to hurt me. And I'm not trying to be hurt, even if that's not your intention, even if you're not really doing anything that's like that major. In my mind, you're trying to kill me. Like that's just how it is sometimes. Like I have to work extremely hard to find gratitudes, to find the good things, because for me, and the way that my brain works, the negative always just automatically severely outweighs the positive. And you can do everything right, but then you do this one thing like really, really wrong, and it's the end. It's the end of the world to me. And then if you don't respond well to and then on top of that, sometimes I then don't communicate it well because I get really emotional, and when I'm really emotional, it's harder to communicate, and so I don't communicate it well, and then so it's really almost impossible for you to have like a proper response when I'm not communicating it well. I don't like yell or anything, I just can't necessarily always find my words. And so that's been something that I've had to work on. Like, okay, let me calm down. Let me not take this so personal. Let me actually communicate what I'm feeling, because I'm also a people pleaser. And so sometimes I wouldn't even attempt to communicate what you did that hurt my feelings. And so that's a red flag for me. And that's something that might not ever completely go away. I can work on it, and it can be better. And I can grow, and I can, be more confident, and I can use my voice, and I can communicate, and I can have more grace. I can do all those things, but realistically, that's kind of part of how I'm wired. And so as I reach new levels of relationship with someone or with people, and different obstacles in life, that may still be triggered. It may still be triggered. And I may need to someone who's going to be patient with me and hold a space for me as I work through that and not take it personal if I like fuck it up a little bit. But to also trust me enough to know that I'm gonna work it out and that I am aware of that within myself. And so when that happens, especially if they're gently and lovingly bringing it to my attention, then I can reel it back in and I can be like, oh, okay, yes. Okay, well, what do I need to do to address that? Like, what self-care do I need to journal? Like, what do I need to do to release and to work through that, right? There's always going to be things that are a part of us that it's a never-ending journey. We are growing, we are learning, we are pushing through, we are working through, we are flowing through life, and that's okay. We're never going to be perfect, and that's something that I want y'all to get from this as well, is like, it's not just about releasing other people from their red flags and understanding that you're willing to work with them and their red flags. It's also understanding that you're not perfect and you're still worthy of love, even in your imperfection. You're worthy of love in your imperfection, and other people, they're worthy of love in their imperfection as well. It just has to be in a situation, obviously, where you can both support each other in whatever it is that you're working on. So yes, you want to be able to identify the red flags, and once you're able to identify the red flags in yourself and in others, you want to be able to figure out, is it a deal breaker, right? Is it a deal breaker? If it is a deal breaker, obviously, deuces, peace out, bye, I love you, that's cool, we're just not going to be in a relationship, and that's okay. Or maybe you can be friends, you get to decide then what that relationship does or does not look like. If you decide that it is not a deal breaker, okay, the next step is going to be some intense communication. You're going to have to communicate around it, right? Hey, this thing exists. How are we going to deal with it? Right? This thing exists. How are we going to deal with it? I found that for me, I told y'all, I can be a little communicationally challenged when I am in an emotional state. The best way that I have found to do this is I figure out, okay, what are the facts? That's what I do first. Especially as a woman communicating with a man. Just keep it real with y'all. This is how I think about it. Okay, what are the facts? Okay, the fact is that you said this, you did this. And when you said this thing and when you did this thing, the way that I took it and where my mind went, what I then made it mean was this. So let me make up an example. I asked you to hang out with me on this day, and you said no. And then I asked you to do this thing with me on this day, and you also said no. And what I am starting to make that mean, and what is formulating in my brain, and even though I don't necessarily think this is your intention, but what I am making it mean is that you don't want to spend time with me and you don't like hanging out with me. So fact, I asked you to hang out, you said no. Fact, I asked you to hang out, you said that you were doing something else. Those things happened, right? Those are things that actually happened. There's no emotion that I attach to it at this point. These are simply things that happen. What I am making those things that happened mean is that you don't want to hang out with me. That's not me saying that that's the truth. That's just me sharing with you what's in my brain. And now you've given that other person the opportunity to maybe explain themselves, to correct their actions. And you can even take it a step further in some cases and say, like, in the future, I would love it. It would help me if you did this. Maybe in this case, in the future, if they were like, oh, that is not at all, how that I love hanging out with you. That thing I didn't want to do or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, and so for you, maybe you say, well, in the future, it would really help me out a lot if you would say like, oh, I'd love to hang out with you. I don't necessarily want to do that thing, but I'd love to spend time with you. Or like, oh, no, thank you. I'd love to hang out with you, but da da da. You know, whatever it is that would help you out. Or maybe instead you would like them to say, oh no, I wouldn't really like to do this thing, but would you be open to doing this thing instead? You know, whatever it is that would be the solution for you to not feel that way in the future, it would be really nice, I think, for you to communicate with that other person. Because if y'all really do love and care about each other and y'all are really in it for the long haul, then that person's going to be open to that. They're going to be open to that, and they're going to appreciate the fact that you didn't just like lay a bunch of crap on them and have them like make them figure out what to do with it. You very clearly stated what happened in a way that honored their emotions and yours, because you weren't pointing fingers. You just laid out, here's some facts. Here's how I felt about those facts, and here's what I made those facts mean, and here's what I would like, here's what would help me in the future. And that's not saying that they did anything wrong. You're not saying you messed up because you made me feel like you didn't want to hang. No, it's like, look, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm just sharing with you how my brain works and how I work emotionally. And I am working to give you the blueprint to how my brain works and how I work emotionally, because that's going to help us live in harmony. Because my red flag is that I look for problems where there may not be any problems. And so if you help me, if you could just help me a little bit with my overthinking brain, you know, that would be great. I would greatly appreciate it. And I've had conversations like this before with people. I have. I'd be like, look, my brain, it works. An example of this, a very specific example of this for me is, dating this guy, and he will get short, really short. He will text me first. He will continue texting me, but he will be really, really short in his text messages. And I was just like, am I bothering him? Does he not want to talk to me? Did I make him mad? Like, what is going on? And so I brought it up to him basically like in that format. And the reality is that, oh, well, maybe he just had a bad day that day. Or maybe he was busy and he was playing video games. You know, whatever it is, it's fine. But what I let him know is what I need from you. What would really help me out is if you could just verbalize that. Say like, hey, I'm playing video games right now. And then I will say, oh, great. Enjoy your video games. We could text later. We could text later. Or, hey, I had a bad day. I don't really want to talk about it right now. You know, can we talk later? I need some time. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Thank you for like, that saves me so much overthinking. I don't have to be like, oh my gosh, is he mad at me? Does he hate me? Does he not like me? And like, yes, you can make the argument like, oh, Dasha, you're being insecure. You know, whatever you want to say about it, that's cool. That's fine. The reality is though, is that that's who I am. And that's where I am right now. And so that for him to just say a very simple sentence would help me out a whole lot. And now he does that. And it's fine. There is no issue. Oh, I'm playing video. Oh, cool. Enjoy. And he'll hit me up later when he's ready. I'm fine with that. I don't need to be in constant communication with you. I'm fine with that. Oh, okay. I had a tough day. Okay. Do you need some space? Yeah. Okay, cool. Take the space. I'm all for it. I'm all about self-care, boo. Care for yourself. But yes, so be able to identify the red flags, decide if it's a deal breaker or not, and then communicate around those red flags. Okay. I hope this was helpful. I didn't really sit down and like super like map this video out, but I felt inspired, and so I wanted to share this with y'all. Let me know if it was helpful, or if there's anything that you need help working through in the comments. I will be in there for y'all. But yeah, again, my name is Dasha. I'm also known as the Hair Dealer. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. Love y'all. Bye.